Today is a good day for Alberta, and it's a good day for Canada. We'll be signing an agreement that clearly sets out a pathway to the construction of a new oil pipeline to Asian markets, commencing as early as September 1st, 2027. This gives industry the time and certainty needed to plan, invest, and deliver real emissions-reducing projects without undermining competitiveness. It means that we're much closer to attaining our joint ambition to make Canada into a global energy leader and a trusted supplier of responsibly produced, lower emissions energy in the world.
Today is also about building trust in a Canada that works. A Canada rooted in cooperative federalism where we build together, pragmatically and ambitiously to achieve our shared ambitions. A Canada where our differences are strengths to be nurtured and respected, not risks to be managed. A Canada that's strong but good. A Canada that's not just prosperous but fair. Not just for some most of the time, but for all of the time.
Our Prime Minister and the Premier of Alberta making that announcement today about the next step in construction of a pipeline to carry bitumen from Alberta to the BC coastline. Now, this project has been in the works for a while, but they're setting a little bit of an ambitious deadline for getting the shovels in the ground. A year come September. So in just about a year and 3-4 months, they hope construction will begin. This is one of the things we're talking about now with Scott Reid, CTV political analyst, former advisor to Prime Minister Paul Martin. The segment brought to you by Guaranteed Industries, Canair, and Hydro-Quebec. What a combination. Call Guaranteed and ask about rebates that are now available. Guaranteed Industries since 1957. Call 514-342-3400. Good afternoon, Scott.
Good afternoon.
This announcement out of Alberta seems to have been just kind of the next step in a process that started quite a while ago. And we've had periodic advancement of this dossier. We had an announcement last fall, for example, and we also had hints this week that something was going to come. Were you surprised at all by what was announced today?
No, because the government had telegraphed it pretty clearly. Both governments had telegraphed what was going to come. But it's still, if you look at it in big picture terms, it's still a really significant political event. I'll leave the policy, the energy policy, to people who know what they're talking about. I'm not, I don't know much about, what it takes to generate oil and move oil and all that kind of stuff. But I can tell you politically, this is, for Carney, a bit of a risk. I mean, he's got some people within his own party who are uncomfortable with this. There's a watering down of the electricity regs. There's a watering down of the carbon pricing regime. So now it's going to take 10 years longer to get to $40 less per carbon ton. But he's got agreement on doing this. And there's a very real prospect that maybe a pipeline will be built. And all of it is in the context of we got to get our oil to the ocean so that we can sell it to Asia, so that we're not wholly and undisputably reliant on the United States. And I think this is working for him brand-wise and politically-wise. This is an example of him willing to take on some risk now that he has a majority, and he's in a position now where, he can say, well, what's Pierre Poilievre's response? Pierre Poilievre's response is, sorry, a year is too short. It needs to be 6 months. It needs to be 3 months. We need to have done it yesterday. People kind of roll their eyes and goes, well, even Danielle Smith says this thing is ambitious and on an accelerated schedule. So I really think it's very good politics for Carney.
Do you go along with the line of thinking that if this announcement is being made with no private sector investor having yet stepped up, that there is in fact a private investor in the wings waiting to come onto the scene?
Oh, that's the smallest part of my conspiracy theory. I have a bigger idea.
Okay.
I think that they know who is going to, or roughly who's going to jump in. And I think there's another shoe to drop. I think that they've also decided that the federal government will put money into it, because I think they know, one, what route they're going to choose, and they're going to change the route that takes us to the ocean. I think they know who is going to put private money into it, and I think they know how much federal money is going to be required to put into it. I think that all of that is roughly worked out, could fall to threads, but is roughly worked out. I think they have that idea in mind. Otherwise, they wouldn't have proceeded, because you can't keep creating expectations of success when you have no guarantee that that's going to occur. So I think they've hedged their bets, and they know how this is going to go. But none of these things are uncontroversial. You know, like Stephen Guilbeault may bolt from the Liberal caucus. That's a big deal in Quebec. BC, suddenly the Liberals have a lot of seats in BC thanks to Mark Carney. You could lose seats in that province. And you could see people saying, well, wait a second, why are we putting federal money into this to subsidize an oil company? So that could be controversial. But yeah, I think there's a deal in the making. I think they already have it roughed out.
I want to ask you about the route, because I think the latest we had seen was that Alberta was looking at 5 different possible routes for the pipeline. Where is your money?
I think it's going to be a little bit more south, not quite as north. And I think if I was going to suggest to you what the right route is, I would say don't look at geography, look at politics. Look at which BC coastal chiefs are most willing to play ball, are willing to take an equity stake in order to say yes. That's going to be the route. And it may not be the most logical. It may not be the most geographically efficient. It may not be the most energy efficient. It will be the most politically possible route.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, because certainly not having First Nations on board would be a huge impediment. There would be headline when you have people who would be shackling themselves to the digging equipment. It would be month after month of bad headlines and holdups. So I think you might be right about that.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Bryan Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
or the free iHeartRadio app.